Did you notice the last full moon? Did it had any unusual influence on you? Our family had a very strange day yesterday. An interesting day, but strange. And part of that day was a conversation about healers, about their ethic, about their interaction with their customers and interaction with each other. I was not a direct part of that conversation. That's why I'm making this video. Not because I wanna interact directly in that conversation is over, but I wanna express my point of view on the matter for everybody, not just for those that were involved in this conversation. Did you notice that in the last couple of years, it started before that, but especially in the last couple of years, healers and healing techniques are growing like mushrooms after the rain? And this is not the first time that this happened on this earth. It happened before. We forgot that it happened before because at that time the dark side won. But we are again in a situation where dark forces and forces of light are competing for having the majority of influence in our world and on us. And the dark side is been prevalent for so much time that it has all the structure it needs to be very efficient in retaining its position. The light side never even wanted to interact with the structures of power. It's not in her nature. The light side is interacting with us, and it's giving us tools to heal ourselves, heal our world, gain a different perspective on us and on our world, and start a different society, a different way of life, a different earth. So it is not a coincidence that more and more people are interested in these subjects. Usually they start with the need to heal themselves, and they find a healer, and the healer helps them, and if they are satisfied with the result, some of them will decide to learn the technique, and they will start to heal themselves and their friends, or maybe they will decide that they want to do this as the full-time job. And sometimes people also channel new techniques, because all the techniques were channeled at one time. And if something is channeled, doesn't mean that it is made up. All the techniques that work. If somebody made something up, then that's not the technique that works. But we are not talking about those fake techniques at the moment. We are talking about things that work. And it's great that we have these techniques, because our world and we need quite a lot of healing, because we were living in a mess for such a long time, and not just us. We were living from our birth. Our parents were living in a mess, and their parents were living in the same mess. So even though we immediately feel relief when we heal certain aspects of our health or our psyche, we don't even imagine how much better can a human being feel that we do. And it will take generations for humanity to heal to a point that we will even be able to imagine how it is to be completely healthy. And that's why these healing techniques and these healers are so important for our society, are so important for us. But that does not mean that these healing techniques and the healing aspects of our society cannot be dangerous, because you give matches to two people. One will make a fire to make him warm, the other will burn down the house. So it is perfectly normal and fine that not always certain techniques will be learned by people that are right for them. But that's not the right word, because it's not that somebody is not right for learning a healing technique. It's just that we must first grow as a person to be responsible for our well-being and for the well-being of others. And not everybody is there yet. It doesn't mean that it will not be, but it's not there yet. And we can make quite a lot of damage to others and to ourselves, because with greater knowledge comes greater power. With powerful techniques, you can do a lot of damage. You can do a lot of good, but you can do a lot of damage. But if it is true that a healing technique can be practiced by someone who is not yet fitted to practice it, how can someone who is seeking help, who is trying to find himself a good healer, how can he find that healer? Well, a good recommendation comes always handy. But the most important thing is, do you vibrate with that healer? Does it vibrate with you? Do you feel comfortable? A healer usually has some presentation, maybe an interview, maybe a lot of times they have meditations online, so you can feel the healer. You can see if you vibrate with him and he vibrates with you. That's the most important factor. Don't fall for what feels comfortable, what feels what you are used to. If you want something that you are used to, go to a doctor or to a priest. A good healer will always be a little bit, will sound strange, because it will be something new for you if it is the first time that you go to a healer. So he must resonate with you, but he must not be something you are used to. And don't expect that you will not have to pay for the service. Because so many times we think that a healer is not a doctor. A doctor is someone who wants the latest BMW. A healer is someone who is a spiritual person. He does not need money. Well, that's not true. Maybe he does not need money, but when he goes to the shop, they want money. But that's not the biggest problem. The biggest problem is that if you don't pay for the service, you are in debt. And even if your ego doesn't care about that, your spirit does. And you don't want to be in debt especially for things that matter, because that's not good for your karma. So a good healer, a healer that has enough practice, will always charge you something, even if you are very poor, and he can only charge you $1, and that's a lot. That's enough for you. It makes a difference for you. He will charge you $1, because when you feel better, and sometimes you feel a lot better after a session with the healer, you don't feel in debt. You paid your debt with money, because unfortunately nowadays we still use money to exchange value. But stay away from healers that will seek you out, or even if you find them, that will immediately tell you that you have a lot of problems, that you need 100 sessions, that you need to take a loan to pay them. In this case, always first seek the second opinion. And second, even if you have some problems, a lot of them, go to another healer. Because a good healer will always treat you with respect. You have to pay him, because we established that that's the right thing to do, even for you. But he will never take more than it's necessary. He will treat you with respect, and he will not scare you. Sometimes a healer sees things that he will not, that it is better if he does not tell. Sometimes he sees the future, or sometimes he knows who did some harm to you. A good healer will fix these things if he can. He will not tell you you will die in a year, or your neighbor paid a sorcerer to harm you. Because these things are tricky. Reality is mellow, and using negative energies to influence people into seeing you as an important person, or to give you money, that's not something a good healer would do. And to all such healers, I would like to give a friendly advice. If you can do what you can do, then the world is not what it seems, and you should know this by now. So you should know that what you are doing in good and in bad has influence on you in this lifetime and others. Don't get yourself a bunch of bad karma just for some ego trip or for a fancy car or whatever is the reason you are doing it. You should know this better than anybody else. You are a living proof that this world is not what it seems. Why are you then acting like the only important aspect of your life is your ego, your status, your money? That's not true. Beware of your karma. Treat it nicely. Your other lives will greatly appreciate this. It's my friendly advice to you. And another thing, the illusion of the separation is the greatest illusion in this world. Remember, when you are hurting yourself, you are hurting yourself. When you are hurting others, you are hurting yourself. When you are helping others, you are helping yourself. Why do you think that all the energies of the universe are eager to help others? Because that's the way they are helping themselves. Do the same. So my friend, I hope I didn't scare you with this little rant at the end. Most of the healing world is a perfectly nice and decent world. Healing ourselves is some of the best things that we can do for ourselves. And healing the world is something that we will have to do if we want a better future for our kids.